This
only.
conference will now be recorded.
I guess the first one we could have is, if that's okay, the public comment and a report from the legislative delegation. Is that okay, or? Nobody signed up for either one? Okay, then we'll move on to, Mandy, do you want to give the executive director that doesn't require action or no?
Sure, I'll just, I have just one item that doesn't require action. It's going to be the introduction of new staff. So as we do every month, when we hire staff, we make sure that we bring it before the board of directors, so you know who's who and what programs they're hired under. And so for this, since last month, we did hire a couple of folks. We have Mr. Rene, and they should be on your screen, Mr. Rene Perez, Program Supervisor 1 for Criminal Justice and Homeland Security. We do have Derek Fuentes, was hired for RGV 911. Juan Esquivel, also for RGV 911. Ronnie Hall, he was also hired for RGV 911. And we have Ms. Margarita Lopez as Interim Director for Area Agency on Aging. And when we come to the Health and Human Services AAA section, I'll let Mr. Gonzalez introduce her, and she can introduce herself when that section comes up.
Okay. We can't even discuss it. Rick, can you cover, do you have like program status reports that don't take action? You want to do that or no? Okay, sure. So this is community and economic development program status reports that don't take action or deliberation or comments.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, President, those who join us online, and Rick Carrera, the Director of Community Economic Development here. So we're going to go to council. Hope everybody's enjoying the windy weather. Thank you. Mic is on now. No doubt about it now. Anyway, so thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'll go over some programmatic highlights that I meant to share with you all. And since we have some time, I'll go ahead and share with those with you right now. These don't require any action. I do have 4 items that will require action. We'll get to those here in a little bit once we've achieved quorum. First highlight or programmatic report. Obviously, this is kind of a repeat of what I mentioned last month, but Manuel Cruz and myself had a chance to meet with the Deputy Secretary of Economic Development Administration last month. We also were able to participate in a roundtable that discussed workforce issues, and this was hosted by UTRGV in their Brownsville location. Very, very productive meeting, and actually I will be presenting on some of those meetings and some other items that are related to Economic Development Administration on a local level up in Houston in the month of April, and that is the Southwest Economic Development Administration annual meeting, which I will be in attendance with some staff. More importantly here, now that we have everybody here, it'd be better if it's quorum, that way everybody hears this, but I know this is being recorded. The consultants we hired for the COVID-19 resiliency study, we're making good progress with them. Their outreach efforts will soon begin, and I believe everybody that's in this room is on that list in terms of when they will be reached, who they will be reaching out to. That'll happen sometime probably within the next 2 to 4 weeks. We're still trying to iron that out with them as to when would be a good time for them to do that. We've gone over that outreach plan. I'm looking at it actually right now as we speak, once I'm done here. And I will finalize that with them probably this afternoon, if not the first of next week. They're ready to go. I just wanted to throw that out there so everybody to be on the lookout. They will be reaching out to you either through us or through their own outreach efforts. And the reason I bring this up because it's important for everybody to, this is your ability to kind of chime in, if you will, just to make sure that your voice is heard in terms of what you've seen, what you heard, and what you experienced when it came to the pandemic. So very, very important. We hired these consultants for that reason. I asked if everybody can at least provide their input for them. The more input they get, the better off that we will all be. Our workshops continue. Right now I'm in the planning stage of having some workshops that are economic development related and how it aligns with disaster prep and disaster resiliency. I'll be rolling those out sometime in the next month or so. Our workshop for disadvantaged business enterprise was a huge success. We had at least 20 participants that are interested in doing some local contracting. For that workshop, we actually killed 2 birds with 1 stone because our Valley Metro, which is here present, obviously, a lot of their contracting requires that we search and identify disadvantaged business enterprise certified businesses to do business with. And of course, that's also part of our resiliency plan in terms of recovery from any pandemic and disaster related setbacks. A couple other things. Explore RGV is moving and going. We're in the process of updating that website and renewing some of those items just to make sure it stays fresh. Another programmatic report, we had the pleasure of celebrating with the City of Alamo. They had their grand opening for the recycling center on February 23rd. Great event. That particular recycling center is actually serving as a model for some of the other smaller cities that are looking to do something very similar to that. It is a drive-through type of center, and I believe the access is 7 days a week now, whereas before it was limited to the public. So great job on their part. That was done with our solid waste implementation grant, and they've done an excellent job with that, and I think it's been well received by the public there. And of course, a couple of meeting updates. Mr. Darling mentioned Region M. That is April 6th at 10:30. That's coming up next week.
If I can mention one thing on there that we're going to talk about, we're in the middle of, or right in the beginning of our 5-year plan. And so if you have a project that's not been included as one of your strategies, you need to maybe listen in or attend that meeting, because we're going to talk about how you can do that. With either way, you have to amend the existing plan or you have to wait to the new plans finish. So it's going to be really important if you're going to get Texas Water Development Board for funding for any of your water plans. Any entity that is involved in that, whether it's the City of Water Supply Corporation, that you attend that meeting or make sure you have some input into it.
Absolutely. And on the Region M note, there was an article in the newspaper in the last few days about water levels and treaties. And
yeah,
I'll leave that to you if you'd like to comment on that.
Yeah, everybody has to have a conservation plan that's mandated for everybody who has a water supply operation. And so you need to look at that. Most of those trigger at 50% capacity, then they go down to 40 and 30. We're under 40% now, so you need to make sure that you're in compliance with your own water conservation plan. Some of those get pretty drastic relating to building permits and all other kinds of things, but make sure that you look at that and make the proper adjustments so that if you get audited by Water Development or TCEQ, you're in compliance with your own water conservation plan. And there's no, and pray for rain.
Yeah, I was gonna, do you want to comment on the lake levels at all?
Yeah, I mean,
they're really low.
Yeah, Falcons, you know, the Falcon is very, it's not very efficient as a reservoir system. It's shallow and it's wide. Amistad's much more efficient. It's deep and in the mountains, so it has less seepage. Unfortunately, when Mexico paid their water allotment to us, they said you could have whatever water we had in Falcon at the time, and so that was probably the least efficient place to store that water. And so we're now paying the price for that decision. They have not made 2020 or 2021 water payment to us. In the state of their reservoirs is there probably won't be forthcoming. So at any rate, look, let's conserve and let's be careful about our water usage.
Pray for rain.
Pray for rain. Pray right. For a tropical storm that doesn't kill anybody that comes in northern Mexico. That's how we fill up our reservoirs. That's the only way it really gets done.
All right, thank you, Mr. Darling. My last update is, of course, we have a RURAC meeting coming up. For those not familiar, RURAC is the Regional Water Resources Advisory Committee. That's coming up on April 20th, obviously before the next board meeting. The agenda for that has not been set, but I have in discussion with some of the folks we have under contract, and they will be talking about their real-time hydrologic station modeling efforts. That could be a lengthy workshop, but a very thorough one. So I highly encourage anybody who's interested in catching on to what's going on with that particular flood study, which is part of our flood infrastructure fund from Texas Water Development Board. They will be elaborating on some of the tools that they'll be using for that. And I could go on if you needed, but I'll share the mic with somebody else in case somebody else would like to chime in.
Okay. I don't think the board could deliberate since we're not at an open meeting, so just have to receive the report.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you. You want to do your public safety? We got a quorum?
We got another person on the, he's not his camera on.
Who's that?
David Suarez.
Oh,
And I know somebody else is trying to log on.
Mayor Suarez?
Yes.
Mayor, can you turn on your camera, Mayor Suarez, if possible?
It's on. I just turned it on. It's on.
Yes,
Okay, we now have a quorum.
which is, did the count if their cameras on?
No.
Well, he says the camera's on. We can't see you though. We'll have to get a legal opinion on that. What do you think?
Sergio, can you turn on your camera, please?
The reason the camera is so that they know you're still there. But I mean, if we know they're still there, right? And Mayor Suarez, we can't see you, but you swear to stay here for the whole meeting?
I swear I'm trying to. I'm on my phone. I'm out of town, but I'm pushing this camera till it doesn't turn on, but I'm on, and I'll be on. I mean, you can, call my
Okay.
name and I'll answer. I'll be on.
Okay, that's good enough. We take you at your word. Okay, so you want to do a roll call or?
Yeah.
Okay. We're calling a meeting to order, so we'll do the roll call.
See, Judge Aurelio Guerra,
Here.
thank you for jumping on so quick, sir.
Thank you. And I apologize again for not being there.
City of FAR, we have interim city manager Ed Wiley sitting in to get information. Chris Boswell from City of Harlingen. Commissioner Nurith Glonsky from Brownsville.
I'm here, yeah. I wasn't sure.
Mayor David Suarez.
Here.
Here.
Commissioner David Garza. Commissioner David Fuentes or somebody from Hidalgo County. Commissioner Pilar Garza or a representative from Alamo.
Norris.
Councilman Johnny Garcia or somebody from Edinburgh. Mayor Rick Salinas, Lyford. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Javier Villalobos or somebody from McAllen.
Here.
Mayor Oscar Montoya or a representative from Mercedes. Councilwoman Nori Garza.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Jorge Ledesma. Mayor Maribel Guerrero.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Edward Gonzalez.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Rick Guerra, San Benito. Commissioner Marco Villegas, San Juan, or representative from San Juan. Mr. Richard Sanchez, UTRGV.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Paul Hernandez. Ms. Claudia Hernandez, TSTC.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Troy Allen. Mr. Ronald Mills.
Here.
Mr. Eleazar Garcia. Mr. Sergio Contreras. Sergio, I can't see you and I can't hear you. Ms. Lupita Sanchez Martinez.
Present.
Thank you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is a quorum, and that is 14 without Sergio, and hopefully he will get his audio and video working. There's David Suarez. Thank you, sir. Okay, we're
Okay.
good.
Well, thank you. And my name's Jim Darling. I'm chairing the meeting. Judge Guerra can't be with us, but he is on the Zoom or the e-meeting for us. So the first item of business after roll call is invocation. If you please bow your head, I'll give that. Lord, we thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve our communities and organizations. Lord, we ask that you inspire us to serve this council of government with the integrity and devotion to duty that we give in our other services. Lord, will you help us make decisions today for the benefit of all those in our community? In your holy name we pray. Amen. Okay, now if you would stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and those at home, you're on the honor system. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first, item number 2 is approval of the minutes from the meeting of February 23rd, 2022 that were sent to you for review.
Rick Salinas, Mayor, moves that for approval of the minutes.
Nori
City
Garza
Ramble seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Thank you. Any deletions or additions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye or raise your hands.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next is item 4, administration. Mr. Cruz, you have one item action, please.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, board members. Thank you for showing up to the board meeting. I do have one action item, is to consideration and action to approve R4 Management LLC, DBA EZ Testing now to use LRGVDC North parking lot as a COVID-19 testing site. We were approached by this agency. Currently, they have an MOU, memorandum of understanding with Hidalgo County to set up sites, testing sites within the county. So they reached out to us. I did contact emergency management here in Westlaco and also the public health department, and they were okay as long as they provided coverage, insurance coverage, and license for the vaccine or for providing testing. And so we're recommending approval or based on the recommendation of the board.
Okay. I had one question. What's the duration? We have a right to terminate if COVID lightens up? We have other board meetings and those kind of things.
They were supposed to provide me with an MOU, but have not as of yet. But that's going to be one of the stipulations along with the insurance and licenses. As I alluded on the action item, it's subject to procurement and legal review if required. So that's going to be, a length of time would be probably a year, 6 months to a year. And I'll vet that through the city emergency management and public health department. That's typically how the length of time that they've been allowing this company to set up.
Okay, unless there's any other further questions, entertain a motion to approve.
So move. Mayor Suarez.
And a second. We have a motion and second. All those in favor, raise your hands, please. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Next item is department reports, item number 5, Rick Carrera. And before you do it, Rick, did anybody have any questions on the program status reports you gave, since we received them, but we couldn't make comments on them? Okay, then we'll go right to action items.
Good afternoon again, everybody. Rick Carrera, Director of Community and Economic Development here at the Lower Rogan Valley Development Council. First action item is for approval, consideration and action to approve of the resolution for, actually resolution number 2022-01, proclaiming April as National Fair Housing Month and supporting awareness of fair housing. Just for a little bit of history, National Fair Housing Month is celebrated to be grateful for fair housing. And then, of course, this was passed on April 11th of 1968. Thus, every April, we propose this resolution to the board, and this year is no different. The law was designed to protect Americans from facing discrimination in selling or buying a home or a house. So April is.
I apologize, Sergio's on.
Excuse me?
I apologize. I know you need a quorum. Sergio's on, so I've got 2 phones, one with audio and the other with camera. I apologize.
Thanks, Sergio. That's really ingenuity. We appreciate that. Okay. So this is a motion for a action for National Fair Housing Month, declaring that, proclaiming that, I should say.
Yes.
Any comments or questions? None. I have one motion. I have a motion. Do I have a second? A second? Yeah. Okay, a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Now, hearing none, all those in favor say aye or raise your hands. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 2, approval of nomination, elected and appointed officials of the non-entitlement community be considered for appointment.
Yes, the Unified Scoring Committee is responsible for determining objective scoring factors for all the region in accordance with the requirements of this section and the current Texas CDBG action plan. For those who are not familiar, this is CDBG funds available through Texas Department of Ag. Previously, the way it was carried out is that each region had 12 representatives that would identify the scoring priorities, and they would establish those for each region. This is now done at a state level, and every region needs to appoint a representative to represent that region.
Just one representative, right?
Just one representative, yes, sir. We polled the communities that had a voice last time and still have a voice now. The person that was appointed last time was Mayor Rick Salinas of Lyford. Everybody is okay based on the polling. Everybody was unanimously in favor of him continuing to be the representative.
And he's accepted that if he's appointed?
Yes, unless
Okay.
he's changed his mind. He's with
Unless he
us today.
changed his mind. Okay.
City of Rainbow moves.
Okay. So we have a second? And yeah, any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Item 3.
Item 3, consideration and action to approve the solid waste sub-grantee applications for funding year 2023. This is related to our solid waste grants that are given, they're up for a competitive award. We scored, let's see, below there were scores for the 3. Some of the applications were late and or incomplete, thus we had 3 total, and those are the 3 that were awarded.
Okay, those are 3, City of Wesco, City of Harlingen, and City of Mission.
Mission, yes, sir.
Okay. You all had that in your packet. I need a motion to approve the designation for those 3 applications.
So moved. City of Mission.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? For those that didn't make it, sorry, I don't, maybe you only had 3 apply, I'm not really sure. All those in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 4.
Item number 4, once again, solid waste related, is the consideration and action to approve solid waste advisory committee nomination to fill a private sector vacancy. We had the vacancy and we received a interest from Mr. Jaime Diaz with Valley Tire Recycling to fill that vacancy. That he was approved by the solid waste advisory committee at the March 8th meeting. Thus, all that's pending now is approval by the LRGVDC board of directors.
Okay. Your recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So move. City of Lyford.
Second?
I'll second it for the city of Brownsville.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye or raise your hand, or both. Opposed, same sign.
Now, Mr. Darling, if I may, I have one more programmatic update that I forgot to include. Thank you,
Sure.
Valerie Ramos. Valerie and Brenda reminded me of this. They are the staff with the Community Economic Development. They love to stay hidden, so I figured I'd do them a favor and mention their name. But anyway, they reminded me that the road recycling tire collection event, which everybody looks forward to every year, we have sent a date of May 28th for that. We will be sending out emails probably within the next couple of weeks to verify and gauge participation. So everybody here who participates in that event, or you're interested in participating in that event, keep us in mind. You should be receiving an email from one of us, either myself or Valerie Ramos, within the next week or 2, or maybe even Brenda Salinas. We'll see how that. It's a team effort on this thing.
Okay, and so if you're here in substitution for somebody, make sure you remind them that they may be getting one, or if you want to get a notice, let Debbie know at the end of the meeting, and she'll give you a notice of that too.
All right, thank you, Mary.
Great.
Thank you for adding that, because I know there's some alternates here with us today.
Right. Okay, well, thank you, Rick. Any questions or comments? I appreciate it. And one other thing, you asked me the water capacity, actually was 319. Now it's down to about 32% in the reservoir. So the lowest ever in the reservoir since I was here was in 2000, and it got down to 17%. Pretty scary.
Yeah.
But anyways, okay.
Pray for rain. Thank you.
Pray for rain. The next item is Health and Human Services, Mr. Gonzalez. And
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, good afternoon.
before we start,
I have one action item, and this is the advisory council is recommending approval.
Hold on, Joe. Hold on.
I know you're in a hurry to retire, but Mr. Gonzalez, how long have you been with, Mr. Gonzalez is announced his retirement. He'll be retiring on the 29th of next month. So he may still be here for one more meeting, I don't know. But at any rate, we'll have something for you. And I just had a question, Mr. Gonzalez. How long have you been with the Council of Governments?
Well, let me tell you, I started on June 19th, 1980. So June 19th of this year would have been 42 years.
42 years, okay. So you're too young to retire, but that's, I guess we can't make you not retire, so, but appreciate that. That's quite an accomplishment. Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but let's go to item 5B. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, the Advisory Council is recommending approval to add to our contractor pool, Faith Primary Home Care and Adorable Primary Home Care to contract for homemaker and respite services. These are services that our case managers purchase for their, services for their clients.
Yeah, and I might point out, contact with especially the elderly and disabled is so important with COVID. COVID, it really multiplied by 5 times or something of how important it was. The AAA's partnerships with other community providers has been important to really been a lifeline for many of our seniors and people with disabilities. So we really appreciate that service. Is there any questions about this contract? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve. Motion second? Okay, you have a motion and second. All those in, any other discussion? All those, hearing none, all those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Any other comments or discussion, Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir. Well, as you announced, I'll be retiring at the end of next month. And Mr. Cruz introduced, our interim director, Margarita Lopez. And I think she's present there. I'd like to ask if she would like to say a few words.
Sure. Are you going to be with us next month at the meeting, Mr. Gonzalez, or this is your last meeting?
No, actually, I'll be at the meeting next month, hopefully.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me here today. As you already know, my name is Margarita Lopez, and I am appointed as an interim director for the Area Agency on Aging, as Mr. G, as we like to call him, has decided to retire. My direct services education background allows me to perform the duties and responsibilities that comes along with this position, along with 20 years in experience or of experience in the area of community service. I do look forward to continue the amazing work that has been done throughout these years, and also looking forward to expanding services. As we all know, with COVID and the increase in population that we have here in the Valley, it does call for additional services and expansion. So we have been designing an agenda for me. In the next couple of weeks, I will be reviewing the over plans, the overview of the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and getting ready for what it's coming to us. We do have services in place to address the pandemic needs, but we do look forward to developing those programs that are going to be needed to address the aftermath of what's awaiting for us. And so I look forward to contacting you. You may contact me, you know where to find me, to address any questions or concerns that you may have regarding me taking this position. Thank you for the privilege of your time.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Lopez. Anybody have any questions? Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Okay, next item. And Mr. Gonzalez, I presume that's all the items you have, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is public safety. Mr. Cruz?
Yes, under public safety, we have one action item. It's the consideration and action to approve the Homeland Security Advisory Committee prioritization list of FY 22-23 Homeland Security Grant Division regional grant applications.
Okay, and they've been providing a list, and there's quite a few. My understanding is we didn't approve, some of them, we didn't approve the full funding. and they still have the obligation to provide those services, or at least a prorated amount of them. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor, Mr. President, and I will explain a little bit. It might be a little bit confusing the way it's laid out on the presentation, but we did have three categories total. We had the law enforcement terrorism prevention program. By federal mandate, 25% must be allocated to that activity. This coming year, there was a reduction in funding by 299,000. And so for 2022-23, the total regional allocation for all three categories came out to 463,991.58 cents. And so, like I mentioned, LETPA, law enforcement terrorism prevention activities, is one. The other one would be the State Homeland Security program, which is SHSP. And so the third one would be the planning. Planning came on top, number one, as the number one priority. As you know, without planning, everything falls through the wayside and nothing gets accomplished. So we thank the HSAC for prioritizing the LRGVDC regional planning for staff. And so the rest, if you see on the first and second list, you'll have a request that was made. For example, I'll go over the first one under the city of Harlingen for the SWAT equipment. They requested $36,485. So the HSAC decided to fully fund that one. And so the next one in line would be number 3, the city of Brownsville. This is an example of what the HSAC went in depth and looked at. The request was for over 201,000. The HSAC looked at the entire list of requests that was made, and based on their assessment, was only able to fund $58,010.65. So now we did have presenters present their projects, and were asked if these projects were scalable, meaning if we don't fund you the full amount, can you make up the difference? And so it was confirmed that they would make up the difference. And so this is a list that you have here, that we have here before you today, that the HSAC is recommending approval.
Can I ask one more question? Bear with me. On a couple of these, we started off with the number 2 ranking, and number 1 wasn't on there. And another one, we started off with, we went from 1 to 6.
Yes.
What happened to those ones that would be before?
Yes, and like I mentioned before, we had 3 categories: the LETPA, Law Enforcement Terrorism Prevention Program, because there's a federal mandate to allocate 25% of that came out pretty much were the first projects that the HSAC pretty much reviewed. And so that's why you have planning was number 1, obviously. So planning under SHSP, the different category, was listed at number 1. And then we continue with the actual projects from the cities on equipment, which you'll have the LETPA, which lists projects or rankings 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then if you go back to the SHSP list, under the first ranking, you'll have the number 6 and number 7 and number 8. So all this is conditionally approved. And so these are the amounts that the HSAC is recommending. Now the other lists that you have, the other 2 lists are recommendations that the HSAC made. Obviously, we cannot, there's not enough money to fund $2.8 million worth of requests. And so, but the HSAC, they were reviewing the applications, and if you see on the notes section, they indicated for the recommendation of this board to pass over to the state if additional funding is available. The HSAC and the LRGVDC request that the Public Safety Office, Governor's Office, consider funding the project at 100%. And that is done in the event that other regions lose money or are not allocated the money that they were awarded. Any other money would be distributed amongst the other councils of governments. And so we thought it best to approve all the requests. Should funding be left over, the state could have enough applications to work with to allocate the remainder of the funds.
And that's our request for everything, and the ranking would stay the same as it's presented to the state. Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve item C1 for the grant applications as presented.
And I'll second it.
It's okay. All those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Any other reports?
The reports are in your binder. I will remind, the reports are in your binder. I will remind the board that here the next meeting, we will have a similar topic, but this one would be under the criminal justice program. We're currently meeting with committee members to prioritize those four categories of grants. And so there's plenty of applications that were submitted. And in some categories, you have more money than the others. So the CJAC is about to review those and will come before you to present those. And we did have a shift in Homeland Security personnel. That's why I have myself as presenting. Unfortunately, we lost our previous assistant director that was assigned to Homeland Security and Criminal Justice right in the middle, almost in the middle of the grant prioritization efforts. So we did hire, fortunately, we did hire another individual that came with a little bit of experience. And so I had to roll my sleeves up and get into the mix and help out. And so that's a change that, we currently had to undergo. But I think we're good. And so with the criminal justice program coming up, we'll be in good standings as far as, the experience needed to be able to tackle the prioritization projects.
Oh, thank you, Manny, for stepping up from that. I did have one request for next meeting, and I'm not a tech person by any stretch of imagination, but I noticed that there's been some talk about if you don't have a 5G phone, the other one's not going to work, and a lot of our people don't have home phone number. No, how many here has a regular phone at their house? What do you even call it?
Landline?
Landline. Okay. Well, most of us don't. And so I'm worried about, especially in the rural areas, that people don't have technology. So can you give us a report on if that's been considered under 911 programs and what we can do about it? Because you can't make everybody buy a 5G and they won't have 911 coverage yet. So
Okay.
appreciate a report on that.
Next month or right now?
No, the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments relating to those reports? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to transportation. Maribel Contreras. I noticed the buses are still running.
Yes, they still are. Good afternoon, board members. We don't have any action items for transportation. We do have 3 status reports. For the first status report, I want to go over the ridership. For the month of February, we provided 47,875 passenger trips. That is an increase of 25,642 trips. That is 115% increase from the previous month. And this is ridership for Hidalgo County, Cameron, Willacy, Star, and Zapata. And that also includes the ridership for our partnerships with LRGV and South Texas College. The next status report is we're going to continue with the COVID-19 precautionary measures. We did receive information from the federal transportation that the federal mask requirements was extended until April 18, 2022 for public transportation. We're going to be continuing providing masks for the passengers, and we're also going to be providing hand sanitizers in the buses. And buses are also being cleaned daily by the drivers. Our third status report is on the Regional Transportation Advisory Panel. For the regional RTAP, we did provide a bi-monthly meeting on March 17. The update from that meeting is that the Regional Transportation Coordination Plan was completed and approved by the board last month, and the final plan was submitted to TxDOT in February. Additional funds were awarded from the continuation of the plan to the LRGVDC Valley Metro in the amount of $17,500, and this is for salaries and supplies for Valley Metro planners. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? That's great, 115% increase. That's a.
Yes, it is.
That's still the old rate, right? We haven't changed it to the new rate?
No, the new implementation of the fares is going to take effect April 1st, which is Friday. Next month, we should be providing the board an update on how everything's going and the fares that were collected.
And we have kept communicating the new coming rate, right?
Yes, for the new fares, it was posted on our website, on social media, on all our buses. It was also advertised for all the passengers to have that information within enough time, which was a month that the board gave us on the previous meeting.
We have no round trip tickets. We have round trip tickets. I thought, no.
As of right now, the feedback that we did receive from the passengers was during the public meetings that we hosted. We hosted over 10 public meetings without the 5-county area to get feedback from the passengers. And everybody was okay with the new fare system. Of course, it's from free going to $2 fare, regular fare. And then for our demand response, it was $3 each way. The feedback that we got from the passengers was for families that have more than 5 kids and they have to travel. For example, this was mainly more in the Zapata area. If they're going from Zapata into Laredo, they're like, if we're going to a doctor's appointment to be paying $3 for each child that they have, for them, it would be a lot, or if they're single parents. But for that, we do provide services for children under the age of 7 for free.
Okay. And since it's one way, make sure they have enough money to get back.
Yes,
Okay.
and then not only that, I mean, if they're students, we have the discount fare, so they would be paying $1.50.
It'll be interesting to see how all that gets taken care of next month, so.
Yes.
Okay.
And do you have round trip fares, Maribel? Can you clarify that or not?
Well, the fares are one-way trips, but of course, we do have discount passes that they can purchase.
So it covers both ways, but it's still one way,
Yes,
but you can get more than one trip on a discount pass.
yes.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Well, good luck. And we'll
Thank
see how
you.
all that works, but
No.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
In the MPO report, Andrew's on his way in here. I don't know if you know that, but the Metropolitan Planning Organization meets right after our meeting at 1:30 every month, so at the same time. So you can tune in on that if you have any questions. And Andrew, I know, is in on his way, so we don't have a report for that. Is there any new or unfinished business to come before the board? You got one chance to say it. In our never-ending quest to end within 1 hour, I think we're going to accomplish that today, although it did take us 20 minutes to get a quorum. And we appreciate everybody calling in, and it's tough, and it's tough to do business that way, and we miss seeing each other. I think it's much more effective when we're all here, but anyways, we'll still keep doing it this way as long as the state allows us to do that. So hearing no other further business or comments or questions, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a safe ride home. And
Thank you, Mayor.